So we need to really speak up about these things. There's also, well, I happen to be Catholic. Catholic Relief has made a big, had a lot of information about malaria. They give nets in countries. They don't give to Sierra Leone. I've been writing to Catholic Relief saying, why don't you give nets in Sierra Leone? Again, I've had no response, and I'm disappointed in them. There's a Christian Children's Fund does give nets in Sierra Leone, and that's where I'm sending my money. And I tell them because they go to Sierra Leone. Yes?
First of all, thank you very much on this thing. I'm really glad we have this session because what it does, it reminds us of the responsibilities and things that we need to do. And as a result of hearing you, I think it is so critical for us to get back to the records. I'm sure Suri remembers we did some powerful advocacy work.
Yes.
I mean, this was, what you're saying, this was our role and function. So I'm glad you're bringing this up, particularly for newer members, to see that this is something we can build upon, because the organization has a fantastic track record. And I'm going to try to see how I can work with others who may have letters. You know, we had a fantastic network with the House, with the Senate. All of this, we have it on record. So, we try to see. I think I have a 17-page report. We have something, and I'm glad you're raising this up. One thing I just want to recommend in terms of this very important issue is that we also identify, perhaps on another page that you will develop after, a very important constituency that we tend to forget. We have an increasing number of professionals, lawyers, medical doctors, engineers, teachers. You know, these are constituencies that we should also approach in terms of advocacy. Because yes, it's good to deal with the US government, but if you don't have our own people, I think we were able to mobilize in 48 hours, for example, people from across this country, lawyers like so. The people came from all over the United States, a 48-hour call. So we need to entrench within our operations under advocacy that this is a constituency we cannot leave behind. And we had mentors from NOSLINA, we had doctors from NOSLINA. So if we could really, I don't know who's taking notes, please, Mary. Oh yeah, let us really get to that constituency. It is even more important at times than the US government because these people have contacts also in Sierra Leone. All right, so please, I just want to suggest that we add them, okay?
Well, let me just stress on, these are just issues that Julia and I came up with as far as focused for NOSLINA maybe for next year, but it's not limited to these. Yeah. So we can expand on this, we can reduce as we see like, as we see fit. One thing I recommend for the next chair or the next ED, the executive directorate, is to come up with an advocacy committee within the group, just like we built on the past experience, and then that committee will then narrow down some of these issues and maybe expand on these issues so we can take them on. And this is an agenda for the next 2 years. So as you can see, we can accomplish this. And going back to Sheku's point, the reason why I brought in Julie, because I would like NOSLINA to work with Friends of Sierra Leone. Because we have a track record of lobby and going up to Congress, and even we have a meeting with the ambassador on the 19th of May. To follow with that, we have a meeting at the Peace Corps with the Peace Corps director. So working with Friends of Sierra Leone will be one of the group that I think NOSLINA can work with to accomplish some of these goals. For example, the PEPFAR, it came up to us as a group, Friends of Sierra Leone, when we went to the director of Peace Corps. And the reason why it came up, because when we sit at the table, Sierra Leone has been promised for the last 3 years that Peace Corps will go to Sierra Leone, but it has not been done because they went to Ethiopia, they went to Rwanda, and they went to Liberia instead of Sierra Leone for the last 3 years. So they promised 2009 Peace Corps will go to Sierra Leone. But one of the things that the director told us, and he didn't have to disclose this, but PEPFAR, the fund for PEPFAR for Rwanda, it was 300 million that U.S. government gave to Rwanda. You know what they did? They turned around and used 1% of that and gave it to Peace Corps to fund Peace Corps going back to Rwanda. So right there, Peace Corps made a decision to go to Rwanda instead of Sierra Leone. So we lose out. So those are some of the things that we can accomplish for our country. So I think this is, and some of this, we might not be able to accomplish all of this, but I'm sure with with an aggressive agenda from the advocacy committee, we can actually accomplish all this, especially the PEPFAR initiative and the Marila initiative. Those are things that we can definitely accomplish. So there's a slide that shows groups that we there's slides. We have groups up there that we might partner with. Go back. The 2 or 3 slides back. We have names of groups.
We saw it.
You saw that?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're not limited to those groups also.
Right.
Of course not.
And the advocacy committee, this is just a beginning of what we can do. At least initiate this idea and then jump on it. And hopefully the advocacy committee can set up and then work with some of these groups. And I recommend Judy as our chair at First of Sierra Leone to be our primary contact. And also I'm part of that group also. So we're willing to work with Sierra Leone groups. They're willing to work with us. Yes, ma'am.
Just a suggestion that kind of builds on what you've said and what Cecil brought up is that looking at within our own group those connections that we already have. Like when you said PEPFAR, well, I've been on a PEPFAR advocacy group for APHA, American Public Health Association, which is like 30 to 50,000 membership organization. Readily, I get email alerts on advocacy things. When I write my letters on PEPFAR, I write specific to Sierra Leone when I'm sending them to my legislators. So many of us may have other kinds of relationships through other professional organizations that we can maximize and wear multiple hats.
Yes.
So maybe we need to inventory all of our professional connections and relationships and see where we have member organizations that we could have an impact. Same thing with the malaria. I work with the executive director of a group that it does the nets for nets distribution. Well, I wrote down my notes. I'm going to go talk with her and see. And we work with the New York State governor on other issues, but this could be a sideline conversation. So there is a lot of money out there being given for AIDS and malaria.
No, I just wanted to say that. And it's somewhat related to what May was saying, and connected to what Julie mentioned earlier about Liberia, being on the map these days with the dynamic president in the person of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And we have a president who means well as well, because I've heard about it in World Bank institutions that they see that Ernest Koma is a man that means well. But I mean, in the corridors of power now, star power counts, and it's certain that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has this. She herself was in these, international institutions herself, and what I want to point to is the fact that there are a number of African Americans who are tracing their roots now through DNA to Sierra Leone, such as Isaiah Washington, even Andy Young. I had him the other day. He gave some remarks for a TV program I was beginning. I'll have to search for that tape sometime. And also Tom Joyner too. So how we can sort of attract these people to cause for Sierra Leone, to help to do some map, And I'm sure, with people like your friends of Sierra Leone and with the NOSLINA, match up, we have people like also Dr. Blake's daughter, who is in the media, who can also
be working right now with Isaiah Washington. So planning a few
so we have to definitely jump on that.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. You guys did a Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Just for the secretary and with the permission of the moderators or whatever, could we change the word tribal to ethnic, please?
Sure.
Well,
I'd appreciate that.
on the list of organizations.
Again, for our
On the slide.
I can do
On the
that.
slide.
I have it on my-
Sure. Okay. The next presenter is Mary on health, and Dr. Davis Cole. Davis Cole, you can start, please.
Can you just click to the next one? Okay. All right. One thing is, we're sort of doing a little pinch hitting here because, as many know, Suna, who works with these issues very intimately and in relationship to work in Sierra Leone and parts of Africa, is really tied up. So I do not not presuppose in any way to be an expert on health issues in Africa, so let me just put that there. I may have expertise in public health in the United States, but that does not put me in as an expert within the Union of Sierra Leone. That said,